Welcome back to the Mulberry Book Drop. Hey, Bethany.
Hi, Sarah.
How you doing?
I'm so excited. Season 6.
That's right. Not me forgetting. How could I forget? Oh my goodness, yeah. Season 6, episode 1. We are so excited to be back. Not that we really took a break because our last episode dropped last month, but here we are. But we actually have an exciting update for you. If you listened to last month's episode, Bethany had a whole story about a hawk in her front yard, and she has an update. So what's the update?
I do. So I was kind of following the group that had taken the hawk for us, and then they're sort of associated with this like nature park. So it's called Moccasin Lake Nature Park. It's out in Clearwater. They also help rescue some birds of prey that like can't be released back into the wild. So we actually took a drive out there. It was totally worth it. They had these like falcons and peacocks, and there was tortoise, and there was even a wind phone. Have you ever heard of a wind phone? Do you know what that is?
No.
It's really, it's cool. It's, I think it started in Japan, and it was somebody that was just sort of like grieving. And so they created this wind phone. And so you sit down and you literally pick up the phone and you hold it to your ear, and you can talk to somebody that maybe you're missing.
Yeah.
And they became really popular after, there had been like a tsunami, and I have a picture. I should have written down the person's name that was actually the originator of this. They put them in a lot of gardens and stuff like that.
I was going to say, I think I've seen videos of them like having it like on the middle, almost like in Times Square, like on like the sidewalk, and people can just walk up.
Yeah.
And there's just like a little sign with it.
It's really neat. So, I called my great-grandma and my grandpa. But anyway, while I was there, I was talking to them, getting some information and talking about my hawk. And they didn't necessarily have the update. But then when I got home, I went back on the Facebook page for the other group, and they had done the releases. And one of them, the dates matched up, and I think it might have been our guy.
That's so cool.
So, yeah. So I think he survived.
You saved a life.
I did.
On this episode of Grey's Anatomy.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just kidding. That's so cool.
Yeah, it was really exciting. And then the Moccasin Lake Nature Park, if anyone's ever out that way, it was very cool. They had the nature center. There was a trail. There were animals everywhere. Like we were walking the trail, and all of a sudden we heard something. And my one kid was like, oh, a tortoise. And we looked, and it literally was just a tortoise in the wild. And that thing was moving.
Yeah.
As my son said, it's schmoving. Like, it was going so fast. I have a video, and it came from, like, really far in the trees all the way out onto the path. And, like, we were standing, like, way back to give it space. But it was kind of neat. I'm like, it's, freedom. Sweet freedom.
Well, here should be a note for everybody. If you see a bird, save a bird.
Yes.
I
love that.
That's really cool. Wow. World changer right there, folks. All right. Well, let's just jump straight into the episode. Are you excited about today's episode?
I'm really excited about today's episode.
Good, because that was the only answer I was going to accept.
Oh, okay.
All of a sudden, it's just dead air. That'd be great. All right. So what are we talking about today, Bethany?
Books we love that made it to the big screen.
I was actually talking to someone about this yesterday, about how they were doing a really good job, of taking books and making them into movies. And then they got into like this just remake kind of era where all the movies that were being released were just remakes of old movies. And I was like, some movies, all right, they probably needed to be remade because they were not great. But then there's some that I'm like, why would you even mess with it when we have so many different options in books? And so then they went back to like books to film, and which makes me really excited because that's what today is about.
Yeah. Fresh new ideas.
Yes. So we're going to talk about some movies. Some have already been released. Some of them will be released at some point during this year. I think almost all of them have actually already been released. So, which is great because if you haven't read it, we're going to talk about it, and then you read it and then you go watch the movie. Because I definitely think with all the ones that we're listing, you should definitely read the book before you go see the movie. So we'll just jump right in. The first one, which I think we both hold near and dear to our hearts, It was my top book of 2025, and that is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir.
I cried 3 times.
Oh, y'all. Okay, the movie stars Ryan Gosling, who doesn't love him?
Hey, girl.
Literally amazing.
Those memes.
And it's about a middle school science teacher who writes a paper about Earth dying and then gets put onto a team to try to help save the Earth. There's desperation, hope, love, friendship, and an alien. What more could you ask for? Now, this movie is already out, and of course, Bethany and I both went and saw it. And honestly, it's going to be hard for a movie to top this one for me for 2026. I don't think it will, and that's okay. It doesn't need to. The film was done so well that I cried several times, you cried several times, and just absolutely loved it. You know, I'm a big science fiction fan. Mm-hmm. It's like my top genre right now. But even if you're not a big science fiction fan, I think you would still enjoy it. So I will say I took my grandma.
Okay.
My grandma was like, huh? And she did fall asleep a couple times. But we also went to Disney earlier in the day. So I think she was tired. And science fiction is just not really her thing. But she was like, I think I just need to rewatch it at home. And I said, okay.
That's so cute.
Yeah. So
it was longer than I was expecting.
Agreed. Yeah.
When we went to see it, I had no idea the time. And all of a sudden it was like over. And I looked and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's been 3 hours. Like, I had no clue. And I struggle to sit still sometimes. And so those really long movies, like when they were doing all those Avengers, and I love those movies, but I'm very like, how much longer until I can stretch my legs? I'm one of those people. And so the fact that I sat through this movie and never once did I realize what time it was.
Yeah.
I think that says something.
The only hard thing is we went to my least favorite movie theater, and the one time that I forget a sweater, and I was freezing the entire time.
Our theater was so cold.
So I was like watching the movie, and I was like, I'm really loving this movie, but I'm so cold right now.
Yeah.
And I was like, like my teeth chattering.
Yeah. I will say too, I don't know if any of our listeners watched the TV show The Bear, but there was a character that was added in for the movie, and he is also an actor from The Bear. And we were really excited to see him in something else. And so that was just kind of a delight for us because we love him. He's the actor that he becomes the pastry chef at the restaurant.
I haven't made it that far into the show. I was
Okay.
like, who?
Yeah, he was so good in the movie too, though, and we really, really enjoyed him.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Also, if you want to see Ryan Gosling in cute cardigans, 10 out of 10 recommend. Like, I legitimately, if I can tell you the amount of times I laughed because of whatever shirt he was wearing. Mm-hmm. Like, there's one shirt that's like, I had potential.
I did say the costuming must have just been so much fun for this one.
Yeah. And him in glasses. Whew. Okay. Anyways, so what's your first movie?
Okay, my first movie actually was released on Netflix on May 8th, but I do believe it is also still in the theaters, but it is Remarkably Bright Creatures, and the book was by Shelby Van Pelt. And I know you guys have listened to us talk about this one before, but it's already been receiving some pretty decent reviews, and from what I've seen, those who like truly connected with the book, they seem to love it, and that makes me really hopeful.
Yeah.
So, because I do have a few friends that I've talked to that said it was really good. But the premise of it is just an unlikely bond that forms between, during the night shift at a local aquarium between Tova, who's the elderly widow that, like, cleans, and then there's the octopus named Marcellus. And they have a connection. It leads to this, like, life-changing discovery, which might bring some joy and wonder back into Tova's life. And so the cast for this one, though, Sally Field plays Tova, which, yes, Mrs. Doubtfire, Steel Magnolias, that Sally. And the one that really kind of excited me, though, is Alfred Molina, I believe is how you pronounce his name, is the voice of Marcellus. And some people might not recognize that actor's name, but when I looked him up, I was really surprised because he's kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
He was in Raiders of the Lost Ark, and he also played Doc Ock in the Spider-Man 2 movie.
That's how I know him.
Okay. So, readers who also enjoy their TV shows, I'm not sure if anyone's aware, but he also played the inspector in the Louise Penny TV series. So he's Inspector Gamache.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I thought that was really cool too.
That is cool.
Yeah. Did you ever read Sally's memoir?
No.
Okay.
But I remember you reading it.
Yes. So it's called In Pieces, and I remember it being a really tough read because it dealt with so many heavy topics, but I was also incredibly sad when it ended because, like, I personally wasn't ready for it to be over.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that she's not done. Like, I'm glad she's still out there, like, doing her thing, but her story was just, wow. Yeah.
And if you know Us and the Octopus, like, Bethany crocheted, and I think 3 or 4 of us have them hanging on our rearview mirrors in our cars, and I love it because every day I get in and I think of him.
And then one of my friends that I got to read the book, she ended up getting stickers printed, and so she gave me an octopus sticker, and it does say "Smart Cookie" on it.
Oh,
So it's Marcellus.
I love that.
Yep. Okay, Sarah, what's your next movie?
Okay, Sunshine on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins, and that one comes out in theaters November 20th of this year. So, that might be one that I have to go see in theaters. If you're not familiar, it is the latest book in the Hunger Games series, but it's kind of like a prequel to the Hunger Games because it's actually Haymage's story. And if you remember from the Hunger Games, he is their like coach, I guess or mentor, that's the right word. He's their mentor for Katniss and Peeta. And the cast for this movie is stacked. You have Elle Fanning, you have Maya Hawke, who is from Stranger Things, and people are her parents. You have Jesse Plemons. I don't know if I said that right, but
I love him.
I was going to say I've loved him since Friday Night Lights. The funny friend, and a lot of new faces too, which is really cool. And I don't know how to say his last name, but Ralph Fiennes?
I think it's Fiennes.
He actually plays Voldemort in Harry Potter, and now he's playing President Snow. And the new joke is that no one has beef with teenagers more than Ralph. So nice. When I saw that it was him, I was like, be so for real right now. Like, what?
That's funny.
So it's hilarious, but it looks so good. So now we're going to be seeing Haymage's game, and it makes you look at the adult Haymage so differently after you read it, and I'm sure after you watch it. And I highly recommend reading it if you loved all the other Hunger Games books / movies. We've had a family coming in, and the mom actually never read the books, never saw the movies, watched Mockingjay Part 2 because it was on TV.
That's so random.
And then she goes, now I have to watch all of them. And I said, well, if you watch them, you have to read the books too.
What a place to start.
So she just started reading the books, and she said that she flew through the first one, and now she's moving on to the second one, which, if you're going to reread any of them before you read this one or watch it, reread Catching Fire. Because a lot of the names that are in Catching Fire show up in Sunshine on the Reaping.
Okay.
So, which is really cool.
That's good to know because I haven't read the new ones yet.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's so, so good. I was at my best friend's house and we had plans. And I said, yeah, so we're going to have to sit and you're going to have to wait like 20 minutes while I finish this book, okay? And she was like, what? And I said, no, sit down. And I did. I read the book and finished it and then was crying. And then I said, okay, I'm ready to go. And that's what it's like being friends with me. All right, Bethany, what's your next one?
Well, speaking of friends, this one actually came out on Netflix back in January, and it's People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry.
So good.
Which you guys know we enjoy Emily Henry. So the basic premise for this one is that Poppy wants to explore the world, but her favorite friend Alex prefers to stay home with a good book. As they say, opposites attract. They also live really far apart, so over the course of a decade, they spend 1 week of summer vacation together. I'm making it sound really simple, so no spoilers, but it was a great book. I really enjoyed it. And I know Sarah, it's still your favorite Emily Henry, isn't it?
Yes.
I feel like it's still up in the top for you.
Sure is.
I looked up the cast for this one as well, and I did not recognize the main couple. I know you are more familiar with those actors than I was, but I do want to point out that I noticed Jamila Jamil is also in it, and I absolutely love her.
Yeah.
Did you guys watch The Good Place? Because that show was so funny, and she played Tahani, and she was just so perfect for that role. And then I also noticed that there's an actor. Do you remember the show Spin City? Have you ever heard of it? Okay, so Michael J. Fox was on that show, and it dealt with, like, city government, the mayor's office, that kind of thing. And there was a character named Stuart, and this guy played Stuart, but he's also probably more well-known as being Ferris Bueller's best friend. He was Cameron in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. But his name is Alan Ruck, and he's usually, like, a really good side character. So I was kind of excited to. I've been seeing him more and more and stuff, and it's nice to kind of like see him coming back because I always enjoyed him.
Yeah.
But now you already watched it, didn't you? Watch it with your book club?
Yes. So I'm in a book club outside of work, and they read it. I didn't reread it because I couldn't get it.
Yeah.
And we watched it, and the same guy that actually plays President Snow on the Songbirds of, I'm saying that wrong, but the Hunger Games one that focuses on President Snow, that's the main character in People We Meet on Vacation plays Snow. Okay. So he has a wide range. And they did stick to the book for the most part, but because it was a movie, you know, they have to cut out a lot of things.
Yeah.
And so a lot of like the trips that are taken are cut out. And then they did change some of the scenery on like where some of the things happen. Oh. And if you have seen Emily in Paris, the guy that plays Alfie, which my favorite, he's also in it briefly. And so like his whole like storyline and where they go on vacation, I believe, is different than it is in the book.
Okay.
I would have loved for them to possibly make it into like a series, like a short series.
Yeah, it could have been a TV show where each episode was like a different vacation or something.
Yeah, which I think would have totally, but also I don't know, the people that were in it like are typically more movie people.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was a thing. But I mean, you still enjoy it, and it's one of those instances. And I said it last month about Jurassic Park, but you can appreciate both separately.
Nice.
So
I like that.
Yeah, but it gave you the feels of a rom-com, the early 2000s, which in my opinion is the best era of rom-coms. So just saying, those are the feelings it gave me.
I will give you my list of movies from the 90s after the episode.
Oh. Okay. All right. I might have seen some of them. Who knows?
Yeah. What's your next one?
The next one is actually The Testaments by Margaret Atwood, and it's the sequel to the first season of the show, because they were making it into a show, spinoff of Handmaid's Tale, of course, and it is already airing on Hulu/Disney Plus. And I will say, I think I like it more than The Handmaid's Tale.
Ooh.
I know.
Wow.
I know. So it's a new generation of young women in Gilead, and it deals with their like bleak future that awaits them. So now we're talking about the generation that like as soon as Gilead started, you know, they were 4 or 5 years old, and so now they're thrust into this world with completely different parents and a completely different society, and so now they've grown up in it. And so for the most part, it's all that they've known. And so now you're seeing like the extremes of like what they go through. And like, for instance, one of the episodes, there's like this weird tea party, and it's almost like a tea party ritual. And like one of the girls literally trips. And because of that, they're like, oh no, she's going to get a horrible husband. And I'm like, cause she tripped. And it was somebody tripped her. But I'm like, huh? What do you mean? So it's really interesting. And then you also see more of, if you're familiar with The Handmaid's Tale, there's a group called Mayday who they're trying to infiltrate Gilead and like help people. So you see stuff from their end. There's flashbacks. And so it's just all like intermingled in together. Now, I will say there are there are a few big differences between the book and the movie. If you're going to do the book, highly recommend doing the audiobook, because it has either 3 or 4 different narrators. One of them being Bryce
Dallas Howard.
Yes,
yeah.
And I love her. And then, of course, the lady that plays Aunt Lydia voices herself. And then there's 1 or 2 others. But phenomenal. The audiobook, 100% do the audiobook, because you have them reading to you, and it's really great. But there are some big, and I didn't even catch on to it. Actually, our director told me, and I said, wait, what? And then I went back and I said, oh no, you're right. Just because of timeline reasonings. So, which made sense, but I was like, all right. I was like, that's actually a really big plot in the book. So I'm like, I don't know how they're going to work this out, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I was surprised by how much I liked that book, because I kept putting off reading it, and my friend was like, you have to read it so we can talk. You have to read it so we can talk. And finally I was like, And And then I think I listened to it over the course of like 2 days, and it's a big one, but like I couldn't stop listening. I'm like, I think I need to go walk the dog. I think I'm going to go pull weeds in the garden. Like anything that I knew I would end up doing like by myself so that I didn't feel guilty listening to my book.
Yeah. Well, and I am just like, it's so weird because The Handmaid's Tale, like it's dark, but also like the way that they film it is kind of darker.
Yeah.
Well, the way that they film the Testaments, it's actually like kind of like light-wise, like brighter.
Okay.
And so it's almost like they're trying to show like the good, but it's still not good.
Yeah.
And
they're giving you hope.
Yeah.
There's
and
hope there.
It's really, really interesting.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to contact my friend who is in film. And see if she's watched it so we can talk about it.
That's cool.
But yeah. Well, what's your last one?
Okay, my last one is called The Bride, and it is based off of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. And it came out in March. And I want to watch this one so bad that I had to include it. So I keep bothering my family about it because I'm like really anxious to see it. But the premise here is 1930s Chicago. Groundbreaking scientist brings a murdered young woman back to life to be the companion for Frankenstein's monster. And what happens next is beyond what either of them could ever have imagined. But when I read Mary Shelley's Frankenstein for one of our book clubs, I don't know what it was. Like the whole time I was reading it, I just had so much empathy for the creature. And I remember that like my big takeaway from the book was, and I believe this was a conversation with one of our coworkers, but it was the idea of like being isolated because you don't fit in, but then turning evil because you are isolated. And I don't know if you've seen the previews for this on HBO or anything, because they were really like the commercials kept coming up and that's what brought it to my attention. But it just looks like it's such a fun, exciting ride. And it's directed by Maggie Gyllenhaal, and her brother Jake is also in it. And I do usually enjoy both of them. But then there's also Christian Bale, Julianne Hough, Peter Sarsgaard, Annette Bening. I mean, it's like a whole family affair. Like Maggie is basically related in some way to all these people, whether it's like, marriage or, parent, whatever. But the bride is played by someone named Jessie Buckley, who, for my book lover listeners, recently portrayed Agnes, who was Shakespeare's wife, in that newish movie Hamnet. So I was like, that kind of like wraps it all around for me. Because I wasn't... Now, I'll tell you, when I saw the preview the first time, I actually thought the bride was Lady Gaga for a second. Like the way, like the makeup and the hair and the angle of the camera. And I was like, Lady Gaga's in a movie? And then it came up again, and I was like, oh, that's not Lady Gaga. Who is that? And then I had to look it up, and that's how I was like... Who is this Jessie Buckley? I need to know more. And so that just became like a whole thing. So I'm really excited about it. I always find like any of the Frankenstein's monster type stories, or like Dracula and Nosferatu, I just always find it like they're just such fun characters to like build a story around. And I just feel like there's so many avenues that creative people can take with them, that it's just always fun. Yeah. So
that is really cool.
Yeah. So
fun fact, I've never read Frankenstein.
No?
No. And I'm like, well, maybe I should.
I mean, I'm not gonna say like, because of how many amazing books there are out there now, like it's not gonna be the best book you ever read. Yeah. But you also have to take into consideration the year time that it was written. And the person that it was written by, like this young woman, where it's like women were not writing things and getting published in that time. And so it was a really big deal. Like it was kind of one of those, like the OG Gothic horror
this
situation.
Has never been done before.
Yeah. And it really opened up, I think, just this whole world, So I think if you can appreciate some of that stuff too, along with it, it's totally worth it. And even like Dracula, it's a slow read, but I've read it twice and I loved it both times. Okay. And it was always kind of like every once in a while you feel like it starts to drag, and then all of a sudden like someone writes a letter, and then all of a sudden this other stuff starts happening, and you're like, oh, okay. It's fun. Yeah. It's interesting.
Awesome. Oh, this was fun.
It was. Now we have to like just go watch movies all day, but I feel like we probably have to go back to work.
I mean, I guess so. But okay, well, we have things to do. Listeners, you have things to do. And, like, if you go and watch it, please tell us. So, because I've only seen, I think, 2 of these out of all of them. And, which, I mean, I love both of them. But I'm like, we have so much that we can talk about. I mean, we love talking.
That's true.
Clearly. So, okay, well, I have one last question for you or before we skedaddle.
Yep.
And that question is, what are you reading now?
Well, what I'm reading now still kind of maybe stays on theme for this episode, Sarah.
Ooh.
Because the book I'm reading, the rights were already purchased by Anne Hathaway.
Ooh.
And she is set to be the producer and hopefully star in the adaptation.
Okay.
But it's Yesteryear by Caro Claire Burke. And all I'm going to say is, like, this book, one of the first lines in that beginning chapter was, "My name is Natalie Heller Mills, and I was perfect at being alive." And this whole, like, everything I've read, it's like, I don't know if it's thriller, if it's satire, if it's time travel. I'm all in, though. So no spoilers.
Ooh, okay.
What about you?
Well, fun fact, mine also stays on theme
with
this episode, mostly because it's a book for film club, but for June. And it's Absolute Power by David Baldacci, which, fun fact, this is my first David Baldacci book I've ever read. But it's set in Washington, D.C., a vicious murder involving the U.S. president and a cover-up orchestrated by his loyal chief of staff and the Secret Service. But unknown to the president, there was one unlikely witness who saw everything.
Bum, bum, bum.
And I will say, I think I don't even know if I've hit 20%. It is juicy.
Yeah.
I said, hold on. I said, David Baldacci. Like, I was going to say you've been holding out on me, but no, that's on me, not you. Because I've never picked up one of your books. And people recommend him all the time, and I'm like, no. But I'm like, hold on. Now, I don't know that I'll read another one. But I really am enjoying it way more than I thought I would. The book was released January 1st, 1996. So I was 4 days short of being 1 year old. 1 year old.
And I was getting ready to graduate high school.
Okay, awkward. And I don't even remember when the movie was put out. But I'm like, hold on, because it's bonkers. And I'm not even 20% of the way through. And I'm like, what is the movie going to be like? And then I'm like, my mama comes to film club. Am I going to be able to watch this with her? I don't know.
You're an adult.
Anyway, I know,
fine.
Right? So, but it is a lot more interesting than I thought it would be. So I'm really curious on where the book's going to go.
I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Yeah, because I'm not going to let y'all. It's like 550 pages. And I was like, wow, if I really don't like this book, this is going to be a rough read. But I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah.
So
I will say, too, I think sometimes with a couple of those authors, especially like their older titles, cover art wasn't such a huge thing. And I think that's why sometimes, like, you almost look past them.
Yeah.
Like, unless you're a person who really seeks out legal thrillers and FBI, like that kind of stuff, sometimes you almost look past it.
Yeah.
But now we're in this whole new world where, like, cover art is such a cool thing, and the colors and the way they put series together, and
yeah, for sure. Well, if you have a book that we should read and see the movie on, please let us know. Email us at themulberrylibrary@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook, on Instagram. Just look up Mulberry Public Library and you will find us. This was so fun. I loved it.
It was.
All right. And with that,
happy reading, Mulberry.